So I just finished my Atlas completion. I thought I would just do a video on the build I'm playing, the league in general, and the league mechanic, and how it's going so far. I guess I'll start with the new thing. The league mechanic is, I thought it would be a lot more interesting than it is, especially the mods that it offers. Because it started off with increased currency drops, chromatic ore drops, which were very, very helpful, like throughout the campaign. It's one of the problems I usually have is like even when I have the sockets, I don't have the chromatics to fix them. And as I went through the mechanic, like it didn't get much better. Like there's stuff that could have been cool, especially in maps. When you get to maps, you get some new mods. For example, you can get syndicate members in your Mirage. You can get map bosses, but all that stuff is they're basically just like extra enemies, especially syndicate members. You would think that they would drop some items, for example, veiled items, or just drops from the betrayal mechanic, but they just don't at all. Like this, they just drop nothing. So it just they're basically like rogue exiles in the mechanic, just the named syndicate members. It doesn't even feel special. But there is some cool stuff. For example, there's one where we can get a bunch of dust, the rogue dust for crafting. So that's the stuff like that's cool. They could have done a lot more of that. They could have been a lot more interesting. But the league mechanic doesn't really do that at all. The caches that all the enemies spawn, they basically feel like clicking on normal chests in a map, like actually the same. Unless you have like 100 increased currency or something, you might get lucky. But they basically feel like clicking normal chests in a map. And I don't even know why you have to click on them. I don't know why you have to walk over enemies to spawn them. Like, why is that a mechanic? Why not just spawn the enemies and just open, or just have them drop the currency? That would just feel better. The extra clicks feel very unnecessary and just not rewarding at all, so I've just stopped doing them. At first, I thought it might be one of those things where it gets better as you get to red maps, because maybe it's just bad in like the lower tier maps. But I've done like, I don't know, basically I've done all the red maps, I've done the completion and some more, and the caches just do not seem worth it to open. But the league mechanic is still it can be very fun and very useful, simply because you can have everything twice over. So if you're doing a lot of, like I've been doing a lot of strong boxes, shrines, that kind of stuff. The only thing it can't spawn, I think, are the monster missions. So if you're doing those, it's not really worth. But everything else, abysses, ultimatums, rituals, even rituals are not so good because you don't really get all of them. You might get one or two, so it's kind of dangerous to like click on them, and you might not have enough favor to do what you want. But other than that, it's like really nice for basically juicing in the maps. So for that, the league mechanic is still very useful, still fun. But the league mechanic itself, the stuff, the mods it has, the drops, for example, you have three types of points, three or four. The ones that are good are the ones that put like the sport gems on the skill gems, and those are pretty rare. I've done all the maps, and I've dropped three of them so far. And then there's one coin that's restoration, to be used on the uniques of the league mechanic. And those, for some reason, you just drop every other mirage. Like I've got like 30 or 40, something like that. And those are basically useless, and I don't know why the skill gems ones are so rare. If you're in a softcore trade, they're like ADC, so it's not that big a deal. But if you're in SSF or something, it must be annoying trying to get them yourself, and even I was trying to get them for myself. But I got really lucky. I dropped one, and I used it on my main skill, which is the Shock Nova of Procession, and I got Lightning Pen, which is, I think, might be the best or second best. I think faster casting might be better because you want a higher tier Lightning Pen on your in your skill gems or in your links. So faster casting might have been better, but still, Lightning Pen is an insane result for me, especially on my first like gem I used, or the coin I used. That's pretty much it. I think the league mechanic could have been a lot more interesting by itself. It's pretty boring. And there's just like one more thing that's kind of annoying when it comes to the league mechanic. Since it's a different instance. It's not the same instance as your map. So you're going into basically a different map. So all the buffs you have disappear. And I love doing the atlas tree I have with the shrines and strong boxes. And it feels really bad to like just go into the map and just, well, go into the Mirage, I mean, and lose all the buffs. But it is what it is. Not too bad, but one small thing that's pretty annoying too. That's pretty much it for the league. I feel like they could have just done a lot more with the mods themselves. It's cool the way they integrated the league mechanics into the league. But the mods themselves could have been and should have been more interesting, just crazier stuff. You could make them rare, but like have crazier mods, especially since like the mods are a choice. So even if you make them really crazy or really just weird, if people don't like them, they can just not choose it. Okay, kind of sounds like I just hate the league mechanic, but I don't. I just wish it was just a little bit more interesting. There's some cool stuff though. The doubling of every mechanic, the juicing is very nice, even though I don't do a lot of it. Just having everything in double, especially strong boxes, shrines is fun. And the new uniques are very fun. So there's good stuff. But that's enough about the league mechanic. I guess I'll just talk about the league in general, which is a lot better, which I absolutely love so far. Right from the league start, with my starting build, the game just felt so much better with the currency drop changes. I just had chromatic orbs all the time, I had fusing, I had 4 links everywhere, and it felt so much nicer and smoother for a started build, which I feel like one of the things I hate usually on league starts in PoE 1 and PoE 2 is the first build is usually kind of not fun, especially if you get unlucky and it's not a very strong build. But this league, the build was amazing and the drops were good, so I just had a very smooth leveling experience. Even though it took me like 10 hours, but that's because I was doing like every other Mirage, which basically doubles your time through the campaign. But that's not a bad thing. It was just fun to do. I was dropping currency and I was just, trying out the new mechanic. It was a fun time. And it got even better when I got to maps. I think this league has been the easiest I've done the Atlas completion. The way the maps work now, where you just have like generic maps and you just put them on the Atlas on whichever map you want, makes it sure you're not struggling to do the completion. And also the map drops are, I feel like they must have changed the map drops, because they just basically you're guaranteed, at least from the bosses, to get a map, and it's usually one tier higher, and you always get at least one map throughout the map of the same tier or higher. So I never ran out of maps. Just always smoothly went all the way to tier 16s. It did take me a bit to get the Guardian mess, especially the Elder Guardians, since they aren't generic like the shipper ones, which is also a very nice change. Just generic, you don't have to have a specific shipper Guardian map, you just have the generic one and put them wherever you want. But that's not really possible, I guess, for the Guardian ones, so those took a bit to get. I didn't want to buy them, so I just like spammed tier 16s and invested on the tree to get more Guardian map drops, and didn't take that long. It was alright. I did all the bosses, the normal ones, and it went pretty good. And it went pretty well because, well, thanks to the build. So I'm following the Shock Nova of Procession build that Zizarin made the video on. It's basically the exact same build with a few very small changes on the tree, and it's been working really well. It just was lacking a little bit of damage when I got to maps, and especially when I got to red maps. I had to get the 6 link and the Pledge of Hands. I feel like you need that to start doing tier 16s and especially bosses, because the damage is alright, it's not amazing. I think it's especially because you can't really overlap most of the time unless the boss is, I guess, like a wall or something. Don't think this build is viable. Even in software I wouldn't really do it for Ubers, unless you like invest a lot more, because I haven't invested that much. I'm only doing like the normal version with Pledge of Hands, and I haven't even maxed out block. I have like 63 attack block or something like that, with 53 spell block without the flask up. So it's not super tanky, the version I have, but there is a super tanky version with evasion suppression. But I feel like that would take a lot more investment, and it would be a lot more tanky but probably have less damage. So just, I don't really enjoy that playstyle. I prefer being a glass cannon than the other way around. But even with the version I'm playing, the mapping is absolutely amazing. It's so quick, so smooth. You can pretty much do any mod other than like the no regen and maybe reflect too, I guess, but maybe the less recovery is not fun, but it's just no regen, no reflect. Those are the two you can't do. Other than that, you can basically do anything and be just fine. Especially because I have like 7k total life and ES plus ES, and with 8k mana with 50% mom. So even if the block isn't amazing, the amount of just HP I have is just so much that I very rarely die, and I'm doing some stupid shit sometimes. Crazy mods with like minus mech resist and stuff. I think I would definitely recommend this mana flask, because even with the crazy recovery, well, not that crazy recovery, with the almost 1400, almost 1500 actually, with the Arcane Surge mana per second, when you're spamming the skill, especially after Arcane Cloak gets used, you're basically at like 30% mana and you slowly go up. But as soon as you press this flask, and thanks to this, yes, this mastery, you basically recover the mana in like 2 seconds. So you press this flask, spam the skill, gain the mana with recovery, mana regen, and this recovery. So definitely recommend that, and probably that to just like almost max out that block, which feels nice. I guess I'll just end the video with some clips of me doing the bosses, so you can see the damage and what kind of defenses I have. I think Maven is a good example of how you can like just like tank a lot of small stuff. There are a lot of the smaller projectiles because thanks to the block. So it should be fine. For the normal bosses are pretty easy, but I still wouldn't do the Ubers with this. I mean, you can try, but hope you're very good. A lot better than me on them.
All things said remain consumed by fear. Rapture of the mind. Overwhelming terror. Forgive me. I was not myself.
Zana, wait! I must speak with you. I must understand.
There is nothing to say. You will not understand. You must not understand.
But why?
There is no other way to stop them. There is no other way to stop him. I am sorry.
No. Come back. Just a little longer, please.